Hello, Joy Moore here, and I am honored to be joined by Zakiyyah G.E. Capehart, who is so many things, among them a retired nurse, graduate of the apprenticeship program, First Voice apprenticeship program, and now she's a poet, an author, entertainer, and again, I'm a retired nurse. And let's start with that. Tell us how your journey has been from the time you were a nurse till now.
Well, interesting that we're starting there because my writing actually started as a child, and I continued throughout, my school years. And when I became a nurse, I had to kind of put that aside. I didn't do a lot of writing. So at some point, I sustained a traumatic injury and I was not able to work. And at that time, I started writing a lot. And during my healing process, I started reciting poetry, which I had never took the stage and recited before. So I started that, and that was just fabulous. And then when I was healed, I had to go back to work as a nurse and kind of put the writing on the side again and the performing on the side. But when I retired, and by the way, my husband, whose name is Bryant B. Bowling, is a jazz musician. He's a vocalist and pianist and drummer. He kept asking me to perform with him in his band. And I kept saying, no, I can't because I'm just too tired. Nursing is very stressful, a lot of work. And so when I retired, he was like, okay, so now you have time. And I was like, okay, he's got me cornered now. So that was great because I made my debut with his jazz band at the 57th Street Gallery in Oakland in 2014.
Wow.
And that was so interesting because it rained, it poured. And I kept thinking, well, who's going to come? Because it's raining and people don't like to come out in the rain, But we packed the house. There was like every seat was filled and people were standing. People came from Sacramento, from Berkeley, from Oakland, from San Francisco, from all over. And that was so uplifting. And they enjoyed the show so much. And so from then on, I've been performing with my husband. We have an ensemble which is called To Be New, Cultural Gatherers. Bryant plays the piano and sings, and I recite my poetry, and I do backup singing with him also. And that's been such a jewel.
Excellent.
Yeah, because
I love that.
yeah, because a lot of couples cannot work together. And so it's perfect. We do a lot of rehearsing. It seems like rehearsing is what we do so much of to get to the one performance and then others, of course. So that's been very beautiful. Of course, during this time, I decided to apply to the apprenticeship program.
First Voice Media Apprenticeship Program, which
Yes.
is where I met you.
Yes, that's right. And that happened in 2013 probably when I made application. Now I was familiar with KPFA, I'm from New York City.
As am I.
Yes, and so WBAI was my introduction to Pacifica. Exactly. And so, of course, I had been listening to KPFI and, KPFA, excuse me, thank you. And just, of course, I loved the shows and the programs. And when I heard about the application for the apprenticeship program, I was like, oh, I'll make application. And so I did. Didn't know if I'd be accepted because there were a lot of people applying. And so I didn't hear from y'all. And I was like, okay, I guess I was rejected. And one day my husband and I were out driving, and Velma. Velma called me and said, oh, you haven't responded. I was like, responded? Well, I didn't get anything in the mail. And so she said, well, yeah, but you've been accepted. And I was like, oh, really? So that was a happy moment. And so the program is, the First Voice Media Program is a fantastic program. It's an opportunity for Black, brown, and people of color to get...
And women.
And women, of course, yes. To get their feet wet in media and to be able to have their stories told and to have the community tell their stories as well. Because as we know in the mainstream media, our stories are not told. And if they're told in the way that they want to tell them. So we get to tell the actual stories, and how we live and how our families live and how our communities live. And this is so important. And I like to say in the healing process, because I'm a healer, a nurse, and also a holistic practitioner. And so for me, KPFA is a way of healing and a way that the communities can heal. And so it's really very important for our communities to be able to be connected to KPFA. And if you're able to join up with the apprenticeship program, it's even more of a blessing and more of a way that you can heal and have the community to heal.
Now tell me about your experience at First Voice. How did it help you go into the realm of entertaining? I mean, there's a big dichotomy between nurse and poetry and music and performing. How did First Voice help you transition into that new phase in your life?
Well, because I actually had assignments that I had to be on the radio and produce and host shows. Now, for some reason, I didn't get that when I was accepted. I didn't understand that I had to do that. And when I was told that I had to do that, I was petrified. And I was like, no, I can't go on the radio and talk and produce and host shows. But I got through that part. Once I did my first show with Vika, and she was...
Vika Aronson.
Vika Aronson.
She's another graduate apprentice.
Yes, she was in group 40 to 40. We were in group 40. Okay. And she was so wonderful, so patient with me, and so, giving, that we were able to do that first show. Because I remember I was trying to get everyone else to do that show, and I was like, I can't do that. So we did that, and after that, I was hooked. So being able to produce and host shows on KPFA gave me the ability to be able to step out and do more entertaining and performing with my husband, and so that's, I think I've answered your question, and if not, you can ask me again.
No, you did, exactly. I just wanted to express or emphasize to people how important the KPFA apprenticeship program for me and for many others and you, in fact, in the way that we truly are a community building organization. That's our goal, is to give access to our community, but it's also build a community building technique. We get to know you, get to be your friend, follow your work. You know what I mean? It's sort of, for me anyway, it was life-changing. I worked at the City Berkeley Health Department, and someone suggested to me to apply, and I did volunteer at KPFA answering the phones. Okay. And someone suggested that I apply for the apprenticeship program. I was like, but I was talked into it, and I applied, and it changed my life. Yeah. It really did.
It is absolutely life-changing, because a lot of the things that that I thought that I couldn't do and was unwilling to do because I was afraid, because I didn't think I had a voice or big enough voice to do, I'm able to do because the apprenticeship program gave me the opportunity to explore horizons that I had not explored, within myself.
Right.
Yeah, so that's just monumental.
And it's probably pretty, well, I'm sure it was a coincidence, but it's probably beneficial that you weren't a nurse during the COVID time. Because COVID was hard on our healthcare workers.
Yeah, it really was, yeah. So I appreciate that I had that opportunity to help people heal. But during the COVID time, that's not something that I wanted to do.
Right.
Yeah, it was pretty scary, and yeah.
So how did you and your husband Brian meet?
We met actually in a chapel in New York City, and it was a chapel in a building that was a multicultural, was a multi-church center, that many churches had their offices, and other businesses also. He actually worked for the Minority Task Force on AIDS, and I was temping that day. Because what I would do, I had two resumes, my nursing resume and my business resume. And when I got fed up with nursing, I would pull out my business resume and do that. And then so I was going back and forth. So that day I was doing business. I was temping for a company. And a mutual friend of ours told me that a friend of hers was doing a Black History Month show. And she said, you should go. And I said, okay, I'll go at lunchtime. And so anyway, I missed the show because my computer was down all morning and I had to get some work done. So I did go because she badgered me about meeting my friend. I was like, okay, I'll go meet your friend. And so we got to meet in a chapel in that building, which is right by Columbia University and Barnard College. And interesting enough, as we were talking, I felt I felt bolts of lightning. And I looked at him because I was gonna say, did you feel that? And then something said, don't tell him. This man's gonna think you're crazy. So I didn't say anything, but I kept feeling that energy. And afterwards, I ran upstairs and I called my friend Deborah and I said, I told her what happened. She was like, Zakiyyah, Bryant just called me and he told me the same thing.
Oh, wow.
That was so interesting. So that's how we met. And then, he invited me to a Valentine's Day dinner and dance. It was an evening, actually. And I accepted. But then I called him and told him that I couldn't go, which was disappointing to him. It was disappointing to me too.
Right.
But anyway, should I tell you the reasons?
Sure, if you want to share it.
Sure, because I was dating someone else.
Oh, okay.
But I was trying to break it off. But I said, you can't go on a date with someone else when you're involved with someone. You gotta not be involved before you can go out.
And it was Valentine's Day.
It was Valentine's Day, but from that moment on, I began writing poetry about Bryant.
Oh, okay.
I just wrote all this poetry. And it was so interesting that even when I was with this other man, I was writing about Bryant.
Right.
I was like,
that told you something.
It did. It really did. So that was so interesting. But yeah, so, we dated for a little bit. And then he asked me to move in with him.
Wow.
And then I moved in with him. And after what was a year, he asked me to marry him.
Okay.
And then, I think it might have been 2 years. But yeah, and so we got married at Barbara Ann Tears Theater in Harlem. And yeah, on the 24th of August in 2002.
Okay.
And then in December, we rented a 15-foot truck and hitched it to the car and drove cross country
Wow.
to San Francisco.
All right. So that's how we got you here. Great. I'm so happy. So you've written a book.
Uh-huh.
And we're going to have you read from some of it. So again, this is Zakiyyah G.E. Capehart, and the book, the poetry book, is Ghana on My Mind. Would you please read something, share something from there?
Yes, I will. I'd love to. So I think I will share the first poem that I wrote for this book. And at the time, I didn't know I was writing it for a book because I had not planned on writing a book about my journey to Ghana, West Africa. And so this poem is entitled Ghana, O Ghana. Traveling by air across the sea, journey of a lifetime, finally coming to be. Land of my ancestors, history awaits. Unveiling roots, opening wounds, where scars are left to heal. Weaving spirits and touching souls. Ghana, oh Ghana, constantly on my mind. When I arrive, what do I hope to find? Will you be there, waiting to welcome and receive me with embracing arms? Will I feel your love running through me until my cup runneth over? Here I sit, staring out at clouds, silently praying, Ghana, oh Ghana, your distant, disconnected family is now returning home to a country once thought of as the land of no return. So this poem, I actually wrote it on a plane, and the picture is me and the founding member of West Oakland to West Africa International now Poetry Exchange, and we're sitting here with another member, Tyrese.
Let's see. Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
And that's you on the plane together?
That's me, and this is Kala Brundage, and this is Tyrese Brown.
Excellent. I love it.
Yeah.
This is great.
So that was the first poem, and so interesting how the universe works and how the Creator works through us. You know, what we don't know is going to happen. We have plans, and then the plans that the Creator has for us subsedes that, and I am so happy with that.
Yeah, it seems like it turns out very good for you.
It really did, yeah.
You want to share something else with us? I really love this, the sound of it, and the tempo. Poetry, a lot of it is the words, the sound, and the rhythm that it takes. And it was really good.
Thank you. Yeah, so that was the first poem. Now this book is a book of poetry and short stories.
Oh, okay.
And I just want to say at this point that, yeah, so this book is available in Marcus Books, Barnes & Noble. Pretty much any bookstore can order it if they don't have it.
Right.
And on Amazon, it's available. You put in Ghana on My Mind, and it comes up just like that.
Great.
Yeah, so, and also I sell it.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you buy it from me, you get it autographed.
Okay. Nothing like an personal autographed book.
Yes.
Lovely as this is, anyway.
So am I reading one more thing, or just?
Would you like to?
I can. I would like to. I just want to ask because if I'm reading more than one, then I can prepare myself.
Yes.
Okay. So now the next thing I'd like to read is the last. I want to call it. It's a love letter to Ghana. Okay. So this is like a story, a poem story or a story poem. So this is the last thing that I wrote for this book, Ghana on My Mind. It's entitled Ghana on My Mind, after the title. Dear Ghana, throughout the day, I think of you constantly when I meditate and pray, and even while I play. You have become a beautiful part of my daily thoughts. I miss the ocean, the waves, the gentle breeze, the warmth of the sun, and the brilliant, stunning, Batilla stars covering the black sky at night. Of course, I miss the scrumptious, delightful, aromatic food, as well as a melange of other things. However, what I miss most of all are your people. I am drawn to return to you. I know one day I shall. Although in spirit, I never really left you. In spirit, I am still there, enjoying the warmth of your sun, forever dreaming under your stars. Ghana is in my heart. Ghana is in my soul. Ghana is on my mind nearly all the time. Love, Zakiyyah.
Oh, that is lovely.
Thank you.
I love it. So let's talk about Ghana. Specifically, why are you attracted to it? Why did you go there? I know a lot of people, myself, I returned to Africa, to South Africa, to go to the United Nations Conference Against Racism.
Oh, yes.
And that was a very traumatic, monumental experience.
I can
just
imagine.
going to the continent. But talk about Ghana and what does that mean to you?
Was that the trip that Dorothea DeVoe was on also?
Yes, the Women of Color Resource Center.
Okay.
I was volunteering there, and they offered me an opportunity to go, and I went. And we stayed there for 2 weeks. It was
wow.
really amazing.
Mind changing.
Yes,
Yeah.
life-changing,
Life
for
changing,
sure.
Yeah.
We also, and I saw Fidel Castro
Oh,
for the first time.
what an honor.
He came and spoke to the non-governmental organization. It's a parallel conference.
Okay.
And he spoke to us, and I had to go to Cuba after that.
Oh, yes, yes. Oh, Cuba is so beautiful.
It's amazing.
That's another
the
book I
people are
gotta do.
amazing. Yes. But tell me about your experience. What was Ghana? What did that mean to you?
Yeah.
And why did you go in the first place?
Yeah, well, I have to back up a bit. So I was actually, my first experience with Africa, and it might have been Ghana, was in the 80s. I was supposed to make a trip there because my sister was there. She was living in Maputo, South Africa. She was working, she was studying, and doing a lot of protesting. But yeah, she was there, and she said, you know, come visit, you know, and she was going to be traveling around, you know, so I was going to be there, but probably other places also. And I was like, oh yeah, I want to come, you know, I want to go because I've always wanted to go to Africa, someplace on that continent. And I had small children at the time. My former husband and I, you know, had small children. But he said, go. And I was like, such a mother. Like, I can't leave these babies. Is he going to really take care of them good or what?
Right.
Anyway, so I didn't go. So, but all those years, all those decades, you know, was still in my heart that I wanted to go. And so when I was told about the West Oakland to West Africa poetry exchange, I joined that group, and we, you know, wrote poetry, but we also had a poet partner from the motherland, mostly Ghana, but you know, in other parts. And my poet partner lived in Ghana. So we wrote to each other, and the other poets wrote to their partners for like about a year. And then one day someone said, oh, we should go visit.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the Kala Brundage, the founder of West Oakland to West Africa, International Poetry Exchange, which we shortened to say WO to WA.
Okay.
And she said, oh, I don't know. I hadn't planned on us going. So everyone was like, yeah, we want to go. So the trip was planned.
Okay.
And so we went to meet our poet partners, and also a poetry slam was planned.
Okay.
And so that was the other reason that we went to Ghana. And so that was a very exciting trip, of course. But the thing that was most profound for me, I was so excited getting off the plane. And when I finally got off the plane, stepping onto the soil of Ghana, my body just shifted. I felt the stress of being here in America just fade.
Wow.
It was like I was a new person, like people say, born again. I guess that was like a born again experience.
Excellent.
So it was so peaceful, and the people were so beautiful. I mean, it was like everybody looked like me. I had never had that experience before.
Me either. When I went to South Africa, well, there were quite a few European people there.
Yeah.
Where I was.
But
where
you
we
were in the
stayed.
majority.
Yes.
So
it
that was
different.
life-changing.
The bank tellers, the supermarket clerks, it was really deep. We are almost out of time. I want you to hold up that book. Zakiyyah G.E. Capehart, Ghana on My Mind, has been my guest today. Really appreciate you coming.
You're so welcome.
And
Thank you for inviting me.
The whole legacy of the First Voice Apprenticeship Program, always building community, always sharing with ourselves. I wanted to make sure that people know how to get your book again.
Yes. You can go online to Amazon, and you can also
Look at me.
You can go online to Amazon to purchase the book, Ghana on My Mind. You can also purchase it from most bookstores. If they don't have it, they can get it. But Barnes & Noble has it, Marcus Books has it, and you can also purchase it from me. My email address is Zakiyyah G.E. Capehart @gmail.com.
Let's start with the spelling the Zakiyyah for
And I
everybody.
will spell it.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, that was
Do
my
it again.
next.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So Z as in zebra, A, K, I, Y, Y, A, H.
Okay.
G as in good, E for Elaine,
Okay.
C, A, P, E, H, A, R, T @gmail.com.
Great.
So you can hit me up on that. I'm also on Facebook. I'm on YouTube.
Okay.
So you can find me.
All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your poetry is divine.
Thank you,
As are you.
Joy.
And my experience
Thank
with you at
you.
the First Voice Apprenticeship is memorable.
Yes.
We had a good time, and you were a great, great apprentice, and I enjoyed it. And please give my regards to your husband.
I will.
I think he's very instrumental, obviously, in this story. He couldn't be with her here with us today, but you're remarkable.
Thank you,
Your work is
Joy.
remarkable, and I really appreciate you sharing with us.
You're welcome. My pleasure.